Hello and welcome to the program, The Desk on Global Television. Time for us to look at very salient issues and give them very, very positive perspective so that we can better understand what's happening in terms of big issues and talking points, and give you very compelling analysis both in the live studios and those that will be joining us via Zoom. My name is Anthony Momodi. Welcome to this edition of the program, The Desk. We'll be looking at very interesting talking points. We'll have good governance as the kicker of one of the talking points, where Buhari's reckless policies responsible for the current hardship is what Adams Oshomole is saying on today's program. We'll be looking at that talking point and other issues. Hopefully my guest, Olubenga George, who is a journalist, a renowned journalist, will be joining us via Zoom for him to also give us his own perspective. While in the live studios, I've got Stephen Frank Ozo, who is a legislative aide, a media consultant. He wears so many caps, master of ceremony, he's a writer. I will be here to help us look at very interesting issues making the round. Nice, you've been missing in actions on two episodes. Nice to have you back into the team.
It's so good to be here. It's unfortunate that I've not been able to make it, but then
nice to have
I'm so glad to be back.
All right, let's begin our discuss with the issue of the comments by XY Labour leader and also APC chieftain in the person of the senator president, Edo North, Adams Oshomole, who said Nigeria's current suffering from what he described as the reckless policies of former President Muhammadu Buhari. How does this thing sound for someone who was at a point we felt like he was bootlicking the president, now turning around to say Buhari's policies were reckless, and he was the same person that was supporting that government that made sure during the elections he campaigned for the APC. Should we trust whatever this man says going forward?
It's the same thing we've been talking about here. Everything in Nigeria is politics. We reduce everything to politics. So, I mean, it's surprising to hear Senator Adams Oshomole take that stand. But what do you expect? He also wants to, obtain a entry ticket into the inner caucus of this government, because we know that even though it's a successive, same political party, succeeding, they have been notable. Before the election, we saw some internal opposition being played out. Okay, it became so glaring at a point that it was even believed that it was because of the internal opposition that the old Naira note was turned to new one and all that, just to frustrate the man who is sitting now as the president. And of course, like you rightly said, former Governor Adams Oshomole was in this government, He was actually part and parcel of the government. All right? So when I read that he said those policies at that time, he negated them. I do not know how factual that is, because we never saw any that he negated. As a matter of fact, even when they had issues because of the Edo State governorship election, the way they differed in candidacy and all that, and he kind of went quiet, he didn't play opposition still. He found his way back into the system to participate in what was happening. So now I feel that what he is doing is to, I sense there is not that level of acceptance. He's not enjoying that level of acceptance as a member of the inner caucus, so to speak. So he is just, doing everything possible to gain acceptance. It's just politics, if not.
But would you say he's selfish? He from governor, he became MC.
Well,
now he's a senator.
Okay, no,
what else does he want?
Being ambitious, the fact that he was a governor and became a senator, we wouldn't say he's selfish. Every human being has a right to, you know, aspire.
But trying to rubbish the former government.
Oh no, that's quite over-ambitious.
Because that's what we're looking at. The fact that he had to rubbish the former government he was part of.
That's over-ambitious, and we are not taking that as a statement coming from a patriotic point of view. It is a selfish statement, you know, made to, you know, gain favor on this other side. And of course, he is now free to talk about this because his former boss is no longer. And as a matter of fact,
would there be repercussions for this?
Forever. There is no, I do not think there would be.
You don't think the Northern Bloc will hold this?
Well, he might be saying this from the angle that that bloc, that's cabal, that's crop of politicians are gone now because the person of Buhari, he has, after being a president, he's not aspiring to become anything again. So he has gone. So he feels now that he actually has all the power to say all those things. But we won't take him seriously because he didn't do anything then, obviously. And another reason we shouldn't take him seriously is this blame game politics that we keep playing here, to the point that
okay, let's before you continue, let's are we being joined by Olugbenga George via Zoom? All right, he's not joining us here. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so it's so annoying. As a matter of fact, this is it's funny at the same time annoying because, I mean, these people keep playing with the intelligence of Nigerians. Governance is not a joke. And we are not, the masses are not to be joked with in such manner. How can you, as a matter of fact, he's not the only person who is blaming Buhari's government too. Do you know that what have happened is blame game upon blame game upon blame game. When Buhari took over from Jonathan, he blamed Jonathan and PDP for the whole 8 years of his governance. Now someone has entered again, the same party, and someone who was part and parcel of this government. And of course, Nigerians voted yes, both individual and political party. So even if, as we know, there were policies that were not, you know, he is correct in what he said. Well, it shouldn't be coming from him. And even if it's coming from him, he shouldn't be exonerating himself. If he wants to make a public confession that, okay, Nigerians, we are sorry that we did not get it right here, then it will be acceptable. But if it is the same blame game, so you will do your own now, and another person will come tomorrow and repeat the same cycle of blame game, and we're not getting any results, it is completely unacceptable.
All right, let's move on. But him saying that the hardship we are facing now is the consequences of the bad policies. Can we look at the hike in the petrol price as one of the policies?
It is clear. The hardship we are facing now are consequences of the bad policies and even the one that is happening now. Because taking to another talking point now, the fuel subsidy removal. I have said here in this studio the other day, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, that I am not an economist. I am not an expert in all these analyzing economics and all the figures. But I must tell you, from the layman perspective, I beg to say, a lot of people differ with me on this. From that point they said subsidy is gone, I differed and I continue to. Because you cannot take away subsidy without having adequate plan in place. See, subsidy removal is just like, I think I analyzed it last week as having a family. And this is a feeding pattern. This is how things has been going on. And then you just wake up one morning. You know that this has been institutionalized. Subsidy has been institutionalized, whether you believe it or not. It is a way of, it's an existing thing that also has its own outcome. It has its own merit and demerit. The merit is that at the end of the day, it boils down to at least people get fuel cheaper. On a larger scale, the government economists and analysts, financial analysts, are saying that, okay, this is taking a large chunk of our money. Beautiful and nice, let us remove it. But since it has been institutionalized, and judging by the outcome it is going to give, the economic hardship it's going to bring, what have we done to take care of all those areas before we remove the subsidy? That is why you are seeing what we are seeing now. And as a matter of fact, there is no headway. Talk about palliative. How many people will it reach? And how effective is it? Is it not still the same thing that would be hijacked by a few? During COVID-19, that the world was trembling and didn't know where to go to and where the world was headed to. Some politicians still have the mind to halt palliative, not to talk of now. You will give to one to share to 100. One would keep it and share to 10 of his friends. How effective are the palliative measures? Of course, we have seen how it played out in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Yes, yeah. So, for me, I dare to say, put back that subsidy. I beg to be corrected by the economic experts and, statistical, the political, the government. I beg to be corrected. But talking from a layman perspective, replace that subsidy because you have not found out an immediate succor giving channel to, another alternative to put back that money, that it will return to us immediate reward.
All right, let's move on. A very sad commentary there, but the next talking point, we're looking at corruption. 256 MDAs violated extant regulations is what we're looking at. The big story talks about the Auditor General of the Federation saying 256 MDAs violated. MDAs talking about ministries, departments, and agencies violated the extant law of that's expending money without being appropriated for in the year 2020. 256 ministries.
And this happened in
2020, that's 4 years back.
In the administration of
President Muhammadu Buhari. What does this tell us as regards to corruption?
Warlord.
Yes, he was the corruption warlord.
We should just stop taking us as a joke. Yeah, it has been accused of civil servants that they are, that in civil service is the, the headquarter of corruption and all that. Yeah, because they are the ones who take the politicians through the whole process to get all this in. But then it all boils down to how serious, to the scale on which you can weigh how serious we are in this country. Why were they not probed in the past? You won't tell me.
Why did he take the Auditor General?
Exactly.
4 years.
Exactly. Why did he take the Auditor General? 4 years to unravel this. This tells you how we do things in this country. There is no patriotism. What we just do is we government. It is our turn. Let us milk this country dry. Nigeria is just like a piece of cake on a table. When it is your turn, you eat and eat and eat and eat and go. And when the next person comes, they are going to, now sometimes they'll be surprised that these people are going to come and debunk this and deny it and say, yeah, there have been a situation where, in the National Assembly, for instance, people, heads of the agencies, they accused the lawmakers of, coming to probe them because they do not agree to the times of, like it's just like Nigeria has been it has become a business center, so to say, and it is so bad. It is so bad. So it calls for accountability. One, patriotism on the side of the leaders, and then pressing for accountability, activism, citizen engagement, knowing what is happening. on the side of the masses so that we just get these things done. It's tiring and it's annoying because we cannot run a country like this. We cannot move to anywhere running our country like this. It's not possible. It's not possible. The level of corruption in the civil service system is alarming. And this is because we are not we do not design ourselves to become a productive people. Go to you check the indices of corruption from every aspect of the civil service. From having ghost workers. There's another level of ghost workers now. It is no longer, because IPPIS has taken care of multiple, salary and all that. But then, the other level of ghost worker, people, so many persons are employed and they are not on their duty posts. They are in different part of the country or even outside the country receiving salary. And the few who are around go to work by 12 and go home by 2. So these are little levels of corruption. And then, of course, when you come to, the execution of contracts and the rest of them, there are so many things that, when you hear this, you're not surprised and you wouldn't doubt it. But then what is the solution? The solution is, let us as a country, let us as people, cherish this country for once and know that whatever I am doing has a ripple effect on myself and my children, because we cannot run our country like this.
All right, sad enough, the civil service is the one being blamed for all this corruption. We also, the Attorney Auditor General did tell us that the Air Force Institute of Technology, amongst others, reportedly was involved in this extra budgetary expenditure amounting to 284 billion naira. We're looking at the military as a disciplined entity, but when you have the Air Force we're talking about extra budgetary expenditure of 284 billion naira. How bad could this be? We're not talking about just in millions now, but in billions.
It's so bad. It's so bad that even the military has also been politicized. I think this is what people look through and they say it is better we go back to, military dictatorship and not democracy. Democracy is such a beautiful system of government, but we have grossly abused it here in Nigeria. Democracy is fine, it's beautiful, okay? But now we have so grossly abused it that to the point that now, you see, there is this system of you can't beat them, you join them. The military used to be a very disciplined arm of, security arm of this, it's a very, the military, once you talk about military, you talk about discipline, you talk about straightforwardness, you talk about, excellence and all that. But when you see all these things, because they do not exist independently, they are still part of the system. You have Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense, everything is politicized. Who takes order from the man at the top, the President and Commander-in-Chief. So whatever system that revolves around there also goes there. And when you are sharing cake, you won't say, I won't take because I don't want to take. And another person will take even that one you refuse to take. So let me take, let us take, and let it happen. So that's what happens in Nigeria. It's not a matter of you wanting to be, different. Like some lawmakers, especially those from opposition party, I hear when they are accused of, you're not shouting, you're not doing this, you're not. How much can you shout when you're just the lone voice among many? You'll be looked at as a stupid person. Okay,
let's look at the issue of trade dispute, where the new certificate verification guidelines in Nigeria is said to be Nigeria's best interest. We're talking about the Nurses and Midwifery Council of Nigeria coming out with new verification methods now, and they're closing down the portal where before now, the nurses and midwives will send in their details for verification and they just get it quickly and move on with their daily lives. But now, the nurses and midwives are saying they are doing this because they want to stop them from going abroad to seek for greener pastures. That it's the new federal government way of, ambushing them. How do you see this? In one hand, do you think the federal government is right, trying to make it more stringent for our head workers to leave the country? Or you think it's an infringement on their rights, like they're claiming?
It is infringement of their on their rights, yes. But I see that as there might be two reasons they are doing that. One, you know, everything is business here. So, one, they may have done it to, you know, further to increase the business, the revenue generation part of, you know, to make it tighter, you know, make it more strict, so as to increase the revenue they are earning, you know, for themselves there and all that. Then two, to frustrate the effort of the
because of the large number of
you know, to reduce brain drain. See, when you have headache and fever, and then you are constantly consuming paracetamol, pain reliever, all sort of analgesic, and you think that will give you cure. You see that when you apply that, it gives you, and then after a few times, it phases off, and then it comes back, and then you go back and take again and again and again. What are you doing to yourself? You are harming yourself. At the long run, you have cancer. I think they say too much of acetaminophen causes cancer, right? Good, because it's not good for the body. So instead of going to probably run a test, find out whether it is malaria that you have, and then you treat it with anti-malarial, and that provides a permanent cure. So taking it to what they are doing to our professionals in Nigeria. Someone suggested that, you know, in the past administration, when they wanted to, you know, hold back medical doctors from going abroad. I think this also happened in studying abroad as well. You know, they try to prove, you know, to introduce policies that tend to hold people by force. That is the key word, by force. Anything you do to hold people back by force, you have not solved the problem. Not at all. Either you're keeping them. If you succeed in keeping them, you're still not going to have them productive enough. As a matter of fact, they are staying back and causing trouble internally. So it is better you go do your homework. I tell you, 90% of Nigerians won't want to travel, won't want to leave the country. I am very sure of this thing, because it's not even easy abroad. It's not easy over there. Where you know that you are entering, you are not a citizen. So that is the first thing on your mind. Before you shake your body, you are careful. You are mindful of the police, mindful of this, mindful of that, mindful of this, following rules and all that. Someone jokingly said that, I think that he can't wait to make money and come back to Nigeria. That Nigeria is a sweet country to stay. The freedom in Nigeria is second to none, especially for a citizen. So nobody will want to stay outside. If you want people to stay in the country and practice, you just make the country good. See what we are talking about, the salary structure, minimum wage.
Yeah, we're going to get into that talking point next.
How much is a nurse earning in Nigeria? I have a niece who stayed in Nigeria, who was in my house. She was earning 80,000 naira as a nurse in a private facility. And at that time, they were among the people who were earning high. They were, you know, praised by their own, envied by their, she was envied by her colleague, you know, in other government hospitals and as someone who was earning high. And then she traveled, she left the country. It's being paid in pounds. Started with over 2,500 pounds. Convert that to naira, that's 2.5, as at that time, 2.5 million naira monthly. Okay? So the issue of our devalued naira, our naira that is so much apart from, you know, not unmatchable with the value of naira and other foreign currencies. It's a major problem that we have. So everybody wants to go out. So if we want to tackle this problem, let us tackle it holistically, not by keeping people back and stopping people from fulfilling their dreams.
All right, okay. Let's move. We'll go for a very quick break. When we return from the break, I will be looking at other issues and making the rounds on the national platform. But we'll go for a very quick break. When we return, the desk continues. Stay with us. All right, welcome back here from the break. You're still watching The Desk on Global Television. And my guest is still Stephen Frank Ozo, who is a media practitioner and also a legislative aide. We're looking at all the top stories making the rounds. Let's go down to the big talking point over the weekend. One of the masquerades in the financial sector that passed away due to a helicopter crash in the U.S. A very sad commentary there, talking about Herbert Wigwe. But the big story now, this breaking this evening, says the Rivers State caucus in the House of Representatives has called on the United States government and its relevant agencies to thoroughly investigate the cause of the helicopter crash that killed the Chief Executive Officer of Access Holdings, Herbert Wigwe, his wife and son. Also, they called on the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and relevant agencies in the country to join in the investigation. Wigwe, alongside his wife and son, died in a helicopter crash in California near the Nevada border. All right, let's look at the issue. When the House of Reps is, does that tell us that probably there's this suspect of something fishy that led to his death?
Well, whether there is something fishy or not, I think it's the right thing to do. If he were an American, if we were, meanwhile, before we go, I pray that his soul rests in peace. It's such an unfortunate incident. It's quite, heart-wrenching. I mean, I read that news, and I mean, for a young man who has done so well and is doing so well for himself and for humanity.
But is there a possibility there might be a sinister motive? Someone wants him dead.
Who knows? Who knows?
Since he's in the business.
Who knows? Who knows? This is a private jet, which should have been checked of every technical, fault. I mean, I do not think he can afford to
not be
cautious. I do not think so. So suspicion, yes, because we have seen cases of such manipulation, such thing happening that something went fishy and then this happened. That's like the case of the former chief of Army
staff. It was alleged that he was killed.
Last month that he was. So that was orchestrated by an element. So it is very possible, but however, they are dead and you can't bring back the dead. But yes, to go probe, sure, it is the right way to go. It is a right step in the right direction for two reasons. One, the need to actually unravel what truly happened and know what really happened, what really transpired. Two, for us to, because this happened in a foreign land, we have been clamoring for increased value, respect for the Nigerian citizenry. If this had happened in Nigeria to an American, America wouldn't go to bed. They wouldn't sweep it under the carpet. As a matter of fact, especially for such a figure, the statement won't be coming from a House of Reps, a Congress member only. It will come from the head of state, the president first, especially for such a figure.
But are you disappointed the presidency has
not made the presidency should have actually made a statement, especially on the area of, coming with a proposition to investigate what really happened and following it to the letter, because this is a Nigerian citizen. This is, as sad as it is, another opportunity for a country for Nigeria to, throw its weight out there and gain relevance. Okay, the presidency should come out and champion the cause of this. This is our citizen, our noble son. For the other part of the country, you don't even need to be to belong to the elite class for the government to go for you. During the COVID, it was funny. I was in a studio at Sun City one day when a certain man who was there with us took a call, and then went out and finished discussing, came inside and told us, "Do you know what just happened?" I said, "What?" Said that the Canadian government just called him. They said he should bring back their citizen. And we were like, "Who is their citizen?" He said that, okay, let him explain. That the child, who is 2 years old now, was given birth to in Canada, and that makes him a citizen. Now, COVID is, ravaging the world, and Canadian government is repatriating all their citizens back to their country. And that happened to include that child who belongs to a Nigerian parent. So, but by the virtue of being bettered in Canada, he is a citizen. And the Canadian government have his record, and they are requesting that their citizen be returned to them, because that is what they are doing as part of their own approach to, reducing the effect of COVID-19 on their citizens. And now, this has gained, because this child is a minor, this has gained the both parents express entry to Canada free of charge. Everything sponsored by Canadian government, just for one citizen, small boy of 3 years old. Okay? Okay? So, this is how countries value their citizen. No hair of any citizen, American citizen, will be lost in any foreign land, and they do not go for it. So let Nigeria use this as an example I advise the government of President Tinubu, to make a statement with this. Probe that thing. It happened in Nevada, in America. California. Yeah. So let them probe what's happened. And then let the American government and other foreign know that, okay, for a Nigerian...
But is it also very suspicious? Because from the reports investigators reviewed from the U.S. says the plane did not have a recorder, which is very vital for any aircraft. And how funny is it that an aircraft that will be carrying Wige would not have a recorder for someone of that status?
Then that already points to the fact that something fishy is going on. Let them continue investigation and see to the end of it.
Okay.
Something fishy must have happened. Okay,
let's move on to his firms he has in Nigeria. What's your expectations in terms of the legacy being carried on? Because a lot of political analysts are already saying that there's going to be an infight for the ownership of some of the firms and empires he has he was leading. Now the wife is gone, the son is gone. Who becomes the heir apparent?
Well, I do. It's really quite unfortunate, but I do know that such.
Do you think the banking sector, which he's running, would have the? Should we say this should be the litmus test for them to prove that
it is
his
an
legacy?
Institution. Yes, because most of these corporate organizations are institutionalized. They can actually run without the presence of the owner.
No, yeah.
Yes. But in as much as I wouldn't lie to you, it would actually affect them now, especially now that it involves the man, the wife, and the son. It is possible that most of the, companies, most of the, businesses are being have its leadership being deputized by the wife or next of kin, the son, and now both of them, all of them are gone. It's really shake the organization, I must say. But from the nature of organizations that I know, there are hierarchies, there are organizational structures. It's now a litmus test, like he said, to the management of the organization to actually hold it on, and even if that is going to be what they would offer to the dead, and keeping the legacy. Like someone asked, what will now happen to the Imigwe University?
Yes,
I said, this is an institution. It's an institution good enough. It's already named after his name, as though he knew, So they should. It's a litmus test for them, and I believe that they wouldn't want to
let his legacy
to let him down. Yeah. So if the life of the spirit is possible, if the dead is living somewhere in the spirit and seeing what's happening,
all right.
I know they would like him to, wherever his spirit is, to look at what they are doing and be proud that they are continuing the legacy that he has left.
All right,
I pray that they are so rest in peace.
Amen. All right, let's look at, we've got the First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, was in Kano today, and the message from the Emir of Kano, Aminu Bayero, was tell your husband to address the issue of hunger, starvation, and insecurity plague in the country. Is there any other way we can pass the message to Mr. President? And how strategic will this meeting be? And do you think this might cause the First Lady to have a rethink and put pressure on Mr. President?
Oh, yes. I applaud the Emir, because, see, sometimes these politicians, where the position of power they occupy separates them, distances them, disconnects them from reality. I won't lie to you, because I have been a spectator from a far end, seeing how it happens to them there. Most of these things we are crying, they do not actually know. And the human person is designed in a way that this adaptive nature of human being. For instance, if you are locked up in this room and everything is provided for you, you don't know that there is, you quickly forget that there is somewhere called Dede, where if you go, you are stuck in the traffic, and then you are there for 1 hour before you pass and go. You forget that there is somewhere called Nyanya, where, cars will spoil on the road and it will take you 2 hours to get to a journey of 20 minutes and all that. You will forget that there is somewhere in the village. As a matter of fact, let me give you an instance. As we are in Abuja now, when I travel home or go to some villages, I will be like, the question I will ask, so there is still somewhere like this in this Nigeria? Has it happened to you? Because we are in Abuja, where we drive through tarred road. And even in Abuja, if you enter into some villages, Kabusa, some parts of Gwagwalada, Karimo, and the rest of them, all the villages, you will be like, are you serious? So there is still somewhere like this. So this is what happens to human beings naturally. So you can imagine this is what happens to them when they go up there, when they occupy the position of power that they occupy. They forget, they are disconnected completely from the reality on ground. That, when Buhari would come out there at that time to say, I am not aware, you actually believe him that he is not aware. Where you want to take the aware? Who will tell him? When you have sycophants around telling him, you are doing well, because they are just collecting their own envelope and going. So opportunities like this, when we have people who are closest to the people, the traditional rulers, the religious leaders, and of course the representatives of the people, that is where the members of the National Assembly have great responsibility, because that is actually why we have the National Assembly. They are close to the people. There you have representatives.
Well, are they actually close to the people when they're all in Abuja?
Exactly the question.
And even in
your
Abuja,
local government chairman is living in Abuja.
Where you can't find them.
Your local government chairman is living in Abuja. Your governor is living in Abuja. All the commissioners are living in Abuja. So the government is so far from the people. And that's why I applaud the Emir and encourage other religious leaders and traditional rulers to speak truth to power. And of course, we journalists, we have great responsibility. We do not have to politicize our platform and only present what is pleasing to the government. Let us tell, see, I said one time that you do not achieve, you do not sugarcoat just to appear good before the people, okay? Yeah, in as much as it is good to project positive narratives so that the world will clap for us. But hey, if we are so backward and we are projecting fantastic narrative of us, that is fake life, is it not? And it's not good. So it is good for us, we journalists, to go to village, to go sample opinions, get the direct, unfiltered, uncensored feeling of the people and put it out there. Let them see it and believe that, yeah, beyond all these things that the sycophants are telling them, they will call this minister, how are you doing? They will make, papers are always so fantastic. Once you get an intelligent person to put up paper and then put beautiful pictures, talking about road now, for instance, you go and snap one beautiful picture and then you name it, you say it is that particular road, or you just go and patch some change 1 to just 500 meters, and then you say, oh, this is beautiful, you package it and present, and they are fine. And this is also why we need leaders who are also deliberately intentional about service, so they can find a way of connecting directly to the people. I've had some ministers, notably, okay, I won't name now, who would go to sites themselves to see what's happening. That's commendable. So if we have government, people in government who would be, who would give themselves to service, and they are quite truthful about it, they connect with the people and feel the pain, it will be good. So I applaud the to say all those things to us.
Because
we want
to
see it. We want to see. Like, campaign is over, he has won, sir, like he has won. So we want to see it. We want to see it. We don't want to see promises now. We want to see a mudu of gari jump down from that 800 naira it has gone to the 150 that it used to be, because this is the one that we produce by ourselves. We want to see a bag of rice jump down from 90,000 naira for 50 kg to 18,000 naira it used to be, or even 30,000 naira. We want to see it. We don't want to hear promises. It's like beautiful, like promises are fine, but we are not seeing it happen. And if the problem is production, then let us see a practical, empowered approach. See, agriculture is something to declare state of emergency on. But with, in fairness to the Nigerian farmers, I do not think that the reason we have
shortage of food,
scarcity of food now, and high cost of food is only in the cost of the commodity itself, or that they are not producing enough or something. Now you see a situation where a commodity will cost 20 naira. And when you factor in the cost of moving it from point A to point B, you have added 80 naira to it, and then you are having 100 naira. So the cost of a product, we have 80% additional cost to a cost of a food commodity. That is what we see.
All right,
because of transportation.
All right.
So this tells you why this issue of fuel subsidy is actually the major issue.
All right, let's end our conversation talking about the new minimum wage. We've got the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, has stated that because of the ongoing inflation continues unabated, organized labour might push for the new minimum wage to be up to 1 million naira for Nigerian workers. Is he being realistic, or is he joking, or is he... Is Labour being realistic?
You wouldn't tell the man who is when one is itching, when something is itching someone, you may not be able to tell him how best to scratch it. We have gotten to that situation where we out of frustration we can't say anything, but the truth is I do not think that is realistic. Yeah, it's not realistic, but that may be kind of
wishful thinking.
Certain, yeah. That
okay,
may be,
setting the bargaining.
The bargaining, yeah. Gaining more bargaining power. When you go to market, you want to get a better price. You start from up, so you give your customer
an idea
okay. That's okay. See. Because of course in Nigeria, yeah, this is where when you offer you cannot say last price at the first. Yeah, you can't. You have to offer a price, and then
the
asking price, gives your buyer an idea of what to price. Okay, if I intend to sell this phone 200,000 naira, I won't say okay, give me 250, because the person will now price. 100 naira, 100 or 150, something like that. But if I say, okay, 500, then maybe the person will now say, oh, okay, why not collect 250? And I'm like, oh, wow, interesting. Okay, I bring 300, and then at the end of the day, I may give it. So I think that is what the organized labor is doing, to send a signal to the government that, CEO, don't even talk about that we are still battling 30% and all that, or 80% or 100%. We have gone past that level because, as a matter of fact, we keep having repeated increase in the price of commodity, transportation, and all that, but there's no increase in salary, so we can't keep up. Now that it is seeming that you have agreed that we are going to live with the inflation, then let it reflect across board. Oh, yes. That is what they are saying. And of course, they shouldn't jettison them. The government should pay attention. And because it will get to a point where we can't keep up anymore. The country might go on shut down. Truth. Imagine this continues like this. We won't reach April. This country will shut down. We can't keep up. Realistically speaking. People cannot keep up.
How do you see the 14-day ultimatum turning out? Because the Labour has said once the 14 days over on the 23rd, specifically Friday, February, there's going to be a shutdown of the country.
I see it not being business as usual anymore. Even if the leadership of the organized labor want to politicize it as usual, the people now will not be bamboozled again. Because if there is a time it will get to, and we know that the matter has gotten tough. That is now. Oh yes, it is glaring. It is glaring. We can't keep up anymore. So it is a matter of urgency. Government should try and do something to tackle that aspect immediately. First, by reducing cost of governance. If they are looking for money to implement this, the money is there. When you let us all take part in this and salvage the situation. When you reduce cost of governance, inject it into the overhead, pay salaries, increase salaries, and if possible, if you're asking, these things are not rocket science. Let us just get things. I don't know why it's been so difficult for successive government to, deny the organized labor this, increase in the minimum wage. When you pay your worker peanut, you get monkey service. Okay. Now, if you're very sure that you are ready to go to work, then you start by giving adequate remuneration for work done, and then you can demand efficiency, and it gets provided to you. So that's what I want the government to do.
Okay.
Yeah, they shouldn't just think it is business as usual.
All right, that's how much time is going to allow us to take on today's edition of the program, The Desk, as we looked at various issues plaguing Nigeria and the way forward. And the last take from my guest is the federal government should do the needful to ensure, especially what has to do with the new minimum wage, and to prevent the organized labor from shutting down the economy and industrial action taking place. Because if it does, Nigeria might not get out of that, as many Nigerians are already protesting in different parts of the country. That's how we call it a wrap on today's edition. Frank, always a pleasure having you. Thank you for your analysis on today's edition.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. See you tomorrow.